All right, so I want to go over a couple of questions that people had trouble with um, on the DeltaMath. So let's go ahead and start with the first one, period from a graph. So all you have to do for period is I always start at the y-intercept. So you see right here, this is where the graph starts. So I want to follow that path of the graph until it makes a full cycle. So it goes back down, it comes past that point, and it ends right here, right? So that's one full cycle, and I'm going to look and see what that matches with. So that's 2 pi. So my period of this function is 2 pi. Okay, that's the answer. Done. Okay, we're going to do another one real quick. So find the period of this graph. Again, we're looking at our where it touches the y-axis, which is right here at 2. So I want to follow it when it gets right back and makes a full cycle. So this one right here is a cosine function, drops down, comes back up, and hits 2 again right here. So I'm just going to follow this down. That's pi over 2. So our period for this function is pi over 2. You put that into DeltaMath and you'll get it correct. Okay, let's do one more just to get the feel of this. Again, we're looking at our point that it touches the y-axis right there. And I'm going to follow it till it gets back to that point and makes a full cycle. So that right there comes back down. This is not a full cycle. This is only half. It only has gone up. Now I'm going to go down below, and I'm going to wait till it comes back up and touches that same point. And this right here is 12 pi over 5. So this is 12 pi over 5. That is our period. Okay, pretty straightforward, hopefully. We're going to get into the next part, which is trig discovery, right? Trig graph discovery. So here we're going to go ahead and write our y equals, and then you're going to see, okay, what is your a? Is it sine or cosine? What is your b? You're going to put an x next to that, and then you're going to put the midline, which is d. So here's d, here's a, and here's b. So we're going to call this dab it up, D-A-B, okay? So the first thing we want to do is find our d. Dab, right, begins with d. So that is the midline. It's where it cuts the graph in half. So a couple of people do it by counting boxes. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Half of that is 2. So I'm going to count 2 down. 1, 2. This is the midline right here, right? So our midline right here is going to be at 2. So our d is 2, okay? So that's the first thing that we do. Let me just erase this so we can have a little bit more space. So we found our d in dab. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to find our a, right? So from our midline, okay, from our midline, we want to go up, which is the same distance as going down to our max, right? So how many boxes was this? This is 2. So our a is 2, right? If I wanted to verify that, right, from our midline to our minimum point right here, this is also 2, right? See, you can count 2 boxes. Good. So our amplitude is 2. All right. Next thing we want to do is we want to look and see if it's a sine or a cosine, and how do you know? So this is how the easiest way to tell you that I know, right? So cosine of x starts at the intercept and goes down like this and comes back up. Okay, that is cosine. Starts at usually the parent graph starts at 1. In this case, the graph starts at 4. So you see how it goes down first and then comes back up. So we know that this is a cosine graph. Okay, sine, on the other hand, starts at 0 and goes up and comes down. Okay, so this is not sine, right? Because again, we're starting here, we're starting at our function and we're going down first. Okay, so that's where it's different. So we'll do a couple more until you get the hang of that. And now let's find our b. All right, so again, for our b, we know that period is equal to 2 pi over b. That's our formula. So what is our period, right? Again, just like we did before, we're going to look and see how long it takes for us to get back to this 4. So I go down, again, this is cosine, and I'm going to come back up, and I'm going to see how long it takes to get to back to 4. And if I follow this path down, this is at 2 pi, okay? So I know I'm going to go, the period is equal to 2 pi. There's no number on the bottom, there's an imaginary 1. So one thing you could do at this point is you could be like, okay, 2 pi and the 2 pi, they're both on the top. So therefore, you might be able to see very clearly that b is equal to 1, right? If you don't see it very clearly like that, that b equals 1, you could at this point cross multiply. 2 pi times 1 is 2 pi. 2 pi times b is 2 pi b. Divide both sides by 2 pi. These cancels out. So you're left with b is equal to 1, okay? So this right here is going to be 1. So that is the answer for this problem, right? Y equals 2 cosine 1x plus 2, or you could just write y equals 2 cos, you don't need the 1, x plus 2, right? There's an imaginary 1 here. So you could write that or you don't have to. This is our answer for the first question that we're doing, okay? Now let's go ahead to this right here, right? So this is another one, right? The equation of the trig graph. So here we are going to start with our dab it up, right? So we have y is equal to something sine or cosine, something x plus something. So d, right? We're going to start with d, then go to a, and then go to b. So our d, right, is our midline. So again, we're going to look for our midline. For some of you, this might be a little bit more second nature now because you've been practicing it. So this right here is going to be at -1. So our d is -1, okay? All right, so now once we have our d, we can go to our a in dab, right? So our height. So from the maximum to our midline, this is 1, 2. Is it always going to be 2? No. But in these last two problems, it was, okay? All right. Now let's see if it's sine or cos. So remember what we talked about, right? Cos starts at a number and drops down. Sine starts at 0 and goes up and comes down, right? So look what's happening here, right? We're starting, let me change the color so you can maybe see it. We're starting right here at this point and we are going up, coming down past, and then boom, right here, okay? So since this looks more like our sine graph, not like our cosine graph, right? We're not starting at a point and dropping down. We're starting at a point and going up. So this is going to be 2 sine, right? And then now all we have to do is find our b. So boom, right? This is 1 period. So period is equal to 2 pi over b. We just found out that that is 2 pi. 2 pi divided by, let me write it like this. 2 pi divided by b is equal to 2 pi. So if there's no number on the bottom, there's going to be an imaginary 1. Is it always going to be like this? No, but in this case it is. And b is equal to 1. So b is 1. So our final answer is y equals 2 sine of x. You could put 1x if you want. Plus negative is the same thing as a minus. So that is the equation of a graph. Okay. All right. Let me just pause real quick. Okay, so I do want to do one more just to make sure that we're good with this. So we start out the same way. Y equals something, sine or cos. This is our bx plus this is our d. So we're going to start with our d, which is our midline. So at this point right here, you should be able to like eye it and see. Let's see if that's right. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. So this number right here is going to be at -2. So I'm going to put a -2 for our d. That's our midline. Next thing, I'm going to go to A. So our height, our amplitude. So we should be able to maybe possibly see, right? Here's our midline. Here's our height. That is 1, 2, 3. So our amplitude is at 3. At this point right now, we can take a look and see whether it's sine or cosine. So again, right? Cosine starts at a number, drops down, and comes back up. Whereas sine starts at, goes something like this. So if I take a look at this, this looks more like our sine graph versus our cosine graph, right? Because it goes up, goes down through it, and comes back up. So this is going to be sine. And then now we need to find our period, right? So we kind of just did this already, but let me just verify. So from a point, we're going to go back to make a full cycle. That is not a full cycle, that's only half. I have to come back down and stop right here. So this is going to be 4 pi over 3. So now I'll do our math, right? Period is equal to 2 pi over b. this is equal to 4 pi over 3, right? That's where I'm getting that from. So now I'm going to cross multiply here because this is not easily solvable without doing that. So 2 pi times 3 is 6 pi is equal to 4 pi times b is 4 pi b. Divide both sides by 4 pi. Divide by 4 pi. Cancel, cancel. So we have b is equal to, let me write this on the bottom, b is equal to, the pi's cancel here, 6 over 4, if you put that into the calculator, 6 over 4 is the same thing as 3 over 2. So our b is going to be 3 over 2. Okay, so final answer for this is going to be y equals 3 sine x, nope, 3 sine 3 halves x minus 2 is going to be our answer. Okay. All right, so the last thing we're going to do is write the trig equation of the graph. All right, the equation, so we're still going to start out exactly the same way. We have y equals something, right? Whether it's sine or cosine, we're going to put our b here. We have our x plus our d. So we're going to start with our d again, okay? So again, if I take a look at this, right, looks like this is cutting the graph in half. I have 1, 2, 3 above, and our min, I have 1, 2, 3 below. So d is 3. I'm sorry, d is not 3. D is, whoa, I'm getting too crazy. -2, right? That's our midline. Okay, boom. Now we're going to do our amplitude. This is what I was doing before, right? This is 3 above, 3 below, so our amplitude is 3. Okay, boom. So now we have D and we have A. Now let's decide whether it's sine or cosine, right? So from our point, we are going up, coming back down through the point, and coming over. So this right here is going to be our sine, right? Remember what we talked about with sine just a couple of seconds ago. And the last thing we're going to do is see how long it takes to make a full period. Let's do this in our fancy blue color, right? So I start at -2, it goes up, comes down past -2, goes all the way below, and I am done right here at 10 pi over 3. So I have period is equal to 2 pi over b. I just found out that my period is the same thing as 10 pi over 3. I'm going to cross multiply here. 2 pi times 3, 6 pi is equal to 10 pi times b is 10 pi b. Let's get that b by itself. Divide both sides by 10 pi. Divide by 10 pi. So this cancels out. So I'm left with b equals, which is what I want. The pi's cancel out. 6 over 10 reduces to 3 over 5. Cut both of those in half, right? So that's 3 over 5. So our b is going to be 3 over 5. That was horribly written. Let me write this better. 3 over 5, and that is our b. Okay. All right. So final answer for this is y equals 3 sine 3/5 x plus minus is the same thing as a -2. That is our answer for this problem. Okay. All right. We're going to do 2 more just to make sure we're good. Okay. So I'm going to go right here, start out the same way. Midline, this point, boom, is -2. So we have y equals, let's draw our boxes, right? This is sine or cosine, bx plus, here start with the d always. So we have our midline is at -2. Why is it always at -2 right now? I don't know. It's not always going to be, but you'll get the point. Then we do our a for dab. So this, our height here is just 1. So boom. And then we have our graph starts here and it drops down. Okay, automatically looks like cosine. Okay, looks like cosine because that's what happens with cosine, right? Remember what we talked about with cos? Starts at a point, drops down, comes back up, and makes a full cycle. Okay, all right. And how long does it take to make our period, right? How long does it take to make a full cycle? Stops right there. So that's at pi. So I have period is equal to 2 pi over b is equal to pi. There's no number, you put a 1. We're going to cross multiply here. 2 pi times 1 is 2 pi is equal to pi times b is pi b. Divide pi by both sides. So b is equal to 2. So our answer is going to be y equals, you don't need the 1, cosine 2x plus negative is the same thing as minus 2. Okay. All right, we feeling this? We feeling this? All right, right here. The last one that we're going to be doing, yes, last one, is right here. So we're going to again start with our midline. So we have y is equal to something, something. Here's our b, x plus our d. Start with our d, which is positive 2 in this case. Yay, we have a positive 2. Okay. And then we are going to do our a next, our amplitude. So that looks like it's also 2, right? So it's 2. So now let's see whether it's sine or cosine. So I do that by starting at a point and seeing what the graph does to get a full cycle, right? Goes up, comes down through that point, comes up. So that is sine, right? Sine does something like that. We talked about that, right? Goes like this, from our midline, goes up, comes down. And then for our period, how long did that take? That took 6 pi. So period is equal to 2 pi over b. This is equal to 6 pi, okay, over 1, cross multiply. And I teach you a shortcut here, just once you understand the point, right? So 2 pi over 6 pi. The b can be replaced with 6 pi. The reason why is because 2 pi over b is equal to 6 pi over 1. When we cross multiply here, 6 pi times b is 6 pi b. 2 pi times 1 is 2 pi. Look what happens, right? See the 6 pi? It drops down to the bottom. So this cancels. The pi's cancel. 2 over 6 reduces to 1 over 3. So our b is 1/3, okay? So I have y equals 2 sine of 1/3 x plus 2. Okay, I want to say one more thing. I'm going to do this in red. Red, bright red. Okay, if your graph, instead of going up and comes down from this point, if it went like this, like if you did the try it and it looks literally like the flip of it. Doing this horribly, but you get the point. If it's the flip of it, then all you have to do is put a negative sign right here. Okay, and what that does is it flips the graph. Okay, yeah, so that's the only thing you need to know as a last resort. Good luck with everything. Take care. I'm right here if you need me.